And welcome back. This is the Early Bird Special here on
Welcome
this
to the
Tuesday
Early Bird
morning.
Special. Hey, we are live back after a 3-day weekend, and we're going to get into all sorts of stuff. But we got Christopher Burdick, the Bird, live from Las Vegas. How are you this morning?
Can you hear me? Is there anything coming through the stream right now? I'm not
Not in
100%
the
sure.
stream, but I got you in the
Okay.
Comrex.
Well, at least we got me through the Comrex. That's always a positive. But see, this is why. This is why we have backups, Sparky. This is why we do these things. You never know what you're going to get when you're
Oh
dealing with stuff
boy.
on the fly here. But sir, hope you had a good weekend. I had a fantastic weekend here in Vegas covering the Raider game yesterday. We'll get to that at some point during the show as well. Got plenty to talk about. Obviously, our guy 24KG will be dropping by at some point, talking all things wrestling as he usually does. We got to get to this incredible game by the Raiders and the Chargers yesterday, the Houston Texans and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as well. That was a barn burner. And honestly, I cannot believe Baker Mayfield made me look stupid once again, but that is what it is when you have to deal with a team that's a little bit better than yours. So it is what it is. But let's start with the elephant in the room. Raider fans right now live here in Vegas, not very happy. Not very happy with what they got last night from their boy Geno Smith. Not 100% sure what's going on with Geno. There were a couple questions during the post-game presser if he was injured or not. I'm not 100% certain if that is the case, but he definitely did not look his normal self during this game at all. And I mean, you saw it from the first play. First play was a pick. Didn't seem like the right vibe was going down for the Raiders whatsoever. Did you get to watch this at all, Spark?
I did. I mean, I'm not too shocked. I mean, I've followed Geno since his early years with the Jets, but I mean, Geno's a gunslinger. I mean, that's what Geno does. I mean, if I also understand he's in a new team with a whole new type of, a whole different offense, and it's the same thing. It's going to take a while for these guys to really come together. Obviously, he knows Pete Carroll and his offense, but I mean, we're seeing more of a defensive team with the Raiders, and I think it's the same thing with Ashton Genty and a lot of these guys. It's going to take a little while for them to start clicking. But when it comes to Geno and his turnovers, I mean that's just Geno. He kind of reminds me of a Bridgewater, but once he's hot, I mean he gets in that motion where he gets on fire, man. And I think Raiders can relax. It's not like they're the Dolphins. I mean, they're 1-1, and I mean, at least they have something to look forward to.
It's funny you bring that up because while leaving the post game presser, Gino was the player that got to come sit with us, and I just happened to leave at the exact same time as Gino. He walks out, so we're walking step by step next to each other. So I'm like, I look over, I'm like, I'm never gonna get this opportunity again. Why not? Just throw it out there. Let's see what happens. So I looked up at Gino and I said, "Hey man, let me ask you a question." He's like, "Yeah, what's up?" I was like, "What is harder right now, playing with Pete Carroll and the Raiders, or your time with the Jets?" And I just got to laugh. He looked at me and said, "You know what? I don't have an answer for you." And we kind of had to go our separate ways at that point. But I told him, I was like, "I swear to God, I'm not trying to bait you into an answer. I'm just genuinely curious. You've gone through some rough times, my friend." So it's like this one was just kind of the first time we've seen it as a Raider. Unfortunately, it was during the home opener for the Raiders here this season. And realistically, just not a whole ton to be happy about. I think there was a point last night during the third, fourth quarter where myself and JR Flores, our program director, were looking around the stadium. And when I tell you, I don't think I saw a single black jersey. It was all blue. It was all blue. Like all
Oh,
the Raider fans were fed up. They were gone. I mean, there were points where I was hearing defense chants for the Chargers. Like, so it was not exactly a welcome home opener for Raider fans whatsoever last night. However, when you really look at it in the long term, the defense looked good.
yes, they did.
Realistically, the defense kept you in this game. They did everything they possible. The late fumble created by Max Crosby, who we got audio from him as well. He was not very happy post game whatsoever, and understandably so. When you do everything you possibly can in order to win these games, and then it falls apart at the end of it all because the offense can't figure it out, it's frustrating. It's definitely frustrating. But I think, and that's kind of the question I was able to post to Pete after the game, was how do we feel about the defense after this week two? Week one, we were okay. We were steady. But how was the feeling rather, going into week 2 and now post week 2 with your defense stepping up so much? So let's hear from Pete real quick.
Great movement here on the defensive side. What are your thoughts on the big plays you guys made late in the game to give yourself some hope?
Yeah, I think this is a defense that's going to come together and continue to be really difficult on our opponents. The running game has not been the issue at all. We've been able to get some rush. We've made some plays. Our corner made some nice plays tonight. You got to give credit to Justin Herbert. He's a really good player, and he made good decisions and good choices. And when he had his open guy, he made the big play. That was just a crusher play because it was an easy play for us to defend, and we just got caught up a little bit and misread the big corner route to get around. But other than that, I thought the whole night was good defense. I thought they rose to the occasions. I think it was 4 for 13 or 14 on third down. Big time there. The running game wasn't there. Had a couple sacks. We made some plays.
Typical Pete Carroll fashion, this defense is set to actually keep the team alive. And right now, you're sitting in a pretty solid spot, I should say. AFC West is still gettable. Although the Chargers looked really, really good against you, obviously, in week 2, I'm still not 100% sold if this team has really reached their peak yet. Not to say that they can't, but more of I still feel like there's a chance for the Raiders to kind of fight their way back into contention here. You still have to deal with the Denver Broncos as well, and with the Kansas City Chiefs essentially looking like, well, old Kansas City. You are sitting pretty happy when it comes to being a Raider. I still am not exactly excited about what I saw last night outside of the defensive side of the ball. But realistically speaking, I think Pete Carroll's got a couple things he can build on. A lot of the press corps were asking about Ashton Genty's I don't want to say inability to get the ball, but more of just the slow start that he's had in the first 2 weeks. They expected a little bit more. One of the press conference guys was even asking Gino if that was part of the game that he felt was missing. I don't think that's the case. I think Pete said it beautifully that this is just the start of his career. You've got to let him get going and realize how to run the ball at the NFL level, because there's still some moments where I see Genty running where I'm like, okay, he's not fully understanding it yet. He's still running straight up. He's going to get blown up eventually, that he's going to learn, okay, you can't run that way. But right now, there are a lot of things I think to get excited about when you're a Raider fan. There's plenty to talk about. I did meet our guy Jason Horowitz during the game yesterday. He will most likely be joining us, I would assume, at the rest of the week.
He's actually. I just got off the phone with him this morning. He's traveling to Washington, so we're going to get him next week.
True. I forgot about that. They have to do travel days on Thursdays and Fridays. But regardless, we'll talk to him next week about all this as well. He had some great insight during the game when we were talking during halftime. It was just a really, really good game in terms of, I think the hope is still there for the Raiders. You may have lost 20-19, but realistically speaking, going against a pretty tough team like the Chargers and only losing by 11, that's a big tell for me. I think the defense keeps you in a lot of these games. And if Gino, like you said earlier, Spark, if he can get rid of the turnover problems, if he can figure it out, and I heard a great answer on the post-game press conference that we'll play here probably after the break, but he's taking it in stride and he realizes this is me. This is my fault. I'm the quarterback and I need to step up as the leader.
As just an outsider watching the game at home, not in Las Vegas, I mean, what I'm seeing is the offensive line has got some issues. Obviously, the offensive line is only it's got to get better for Genty to take that step forward. And obviously, it looks like besides Bowers, it looks like Gino's trying to find someone to get in sync with. It almost feels like he's missing his number one, a real true wide receiver one. I'm not seeing much of Jacoby. I'm not seeing much of Trey, and I don't know if that's just maybe more snaps together that they'll find their golden spot. But I think that's what's really lacking in that offense. And obviously, it always starts with the offensive line.
Oh, 100%. And I was kind of thinking the same thing throughout watching this game. It seemed to me like he was trying to force the ball to Tucker a little too much, and Thornton as well. But to be honest with you, every single time that Jacoby could make a play, he did. That's why I really feel like the Raiders should kind of lean on Jacoby Myers being that guy for you. It seemed like every single time they needed a wide receiver to get open or find a spot, he was open, even if the ball wasn't thrown to him. And to be honest, he's really shown every game that I've watched him play that he can really step up into that light and be that guy for whoever needs him to be. I think that's why he wants to get paid as much as he wants to get paid. And you're right. I mean, besides Brock Bowers, there's not a whole ton in terms of targeting and where you could throw this football. You need to establish that with a wide receiver in order to get Geno comfortable. I don't think Thornton and Tucker are those guys for you. There were a lot of instances where I was like, okay, yeah, that was a really badly thrown ball. Don't get me wrong. But a lot of the time, I was like, they could have done something as a receiver to really help out the quarterback and get a little bit more open, which is something Jacoby is able to do a little bit more. So,
And this is
out of
two
the
weeks
people
in a
on the
row.
roster,
This is 2 weeks in a row that he's kind of forcing that ball to Trey Tucker.
yeah,
And I don't know if that's
absolutely.
maybe something they kind of went together in camp and found some rhythm, or if that's just something maybe with the other receivers. I mean, they are young, so I think there's going to be plenty of time. And you know it was a primetime game early in the season. I'm still expecting Genty to find his way, and I think it's going to be some things that, I mean, you're looking at a team that is a whole new coaching system. Gino and Chip Kelly, all this is new. So I mean, I was kind of happy with the defense. I was expecting, I know they brought in a lot of veteran help. They lost defensive tackle Christian Wilkins, which we got into a month before the kickoff. But
Mm.
I mean, overall, you can find the positives and the negatives. But the Chargers, I mean, the Chargers are looking good. Not only do I see a better Herbert, and that they're dealing with a rookie running back that hasn't found his way yet. I mean,
Mm.
check in a month or two, maybe we'll both see Hampton and Genty both finding their way. But there's several things that you can find positive. But in Raider fashion, the last time I went to an NFL game, I went to a Dolphin Raider game in Oakland. It was their final season in Oakland, and they were down 2 touchdowns in the third quarter, and half the stadium was empty.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
They
Again,
were all
it's
gone.
you have to remember what kind of city we're in here in Vegas at the same time, but it is one of those things where the fan base is just, I don't want to say they're fed up with mediocrity, but they're definitely on that level of just like, all right, if we're not going to be winners, I'm not going to be sitting here screaming on the sideline for you. You know what I mean? Like, and I think a lot of fan bases can kind of reach that point. But I do
Oh
believe that
yes.
this Raider team is something you need to get behind. I don't think this Charger game is really one that you can take and say, oh, we suck. I think the Chargers might just be that good this year, led by a very good coach in Jim Harbaugh. And to be honest with you, Justin Herbert made a lot of plays with his feet that I did not expect him to make. Same with Gino. Gino had to run for his life and make some absolutely miraculous plays to make this game anywhere close to where it was. But I think that just the ability that they have on the Chargers side to mix up the run game, they have the wide receiver depth that, I mean, I was kind of questioning at the beginning of the year, right? Didn't think Winston Johnston was going to be that guy. Wasn't sure if Keenan Allen was going to be able to step into that role like he used to. And it all seems to be flowing pretty dang well. They do fantastically when they're able to utilize the play action game, which I think is Justin's best part of his game. So if the Chargers can continue to do that, continue to play the way they do, especially defensively, now with Khalil Mack most likely out for a couple weeks with the elbow injury, which was gruesome. That was nasty to watch live, but it is what it is, and that's football. So we got to move on, next man up, and see what the Chargers can pull off here in week 3. I'm not sold just yet that we have seen the best of the Chargers.
But we'll take our first break. We'll get into, I want to hear, how is the stadium? I'm one of those guys that always want to check out new stadiums, whether it's NBA, NFL, but just I've never been to the Allegiant Stadium, so I want to hear how that stadium is. And plus, you got the media side of it, so you got to
True.
sit in the press box. We'll hear about that and much more. If you got any questions or comments, feel free to text them in 661-842-2000, and you might just win a pair of tickets to the Kern County Fair, which opens up tomorrow right here on the Early Bird Special.
Stay connected with the Early Bird Special. Special on ESPN Bakersfield, 12:30 a.m., 101.1 FM, and stream ESPNBakersfield.com.
Believe it or not, only 3 Elvis sightings since I've been here.
Only 3?
2 of them were at the game last night. Actually, 3 of them. One of them was Elvis without actually being Elvis. He just had the hair. Didn't really do the whole get up, which I was like, dude, what's wrong with you? If you're gonna lean into it, lean into it. You're in Vegas. Come on now. But
how was it?
Vegas.
I mean, how was the stadium?
You know, I've never been to Allegiant inside for a game. I was able to do the walkthrough when it first opened, just to kind of see the lay of the land and stuff like that. But it's a beautiful stadium. I mean, we walked around for a little bit, got to see all the artwork and stuff like that is shown on the 100 level. We didn't get to go up to the 200 or 300 level. Didn't have a lot of time, although, again, we got there super early. And you'd be surprised how quickly these things go, especially having to get to the press room and all that type of stuff. Like figuring out where that is, where you're sitting, all that type of stuff takes a lot of time.
So they had you guys in the press box.
Yes, which was, just feet away from Tom Brady.
Oh, really?
Feet away.
Gross.
I passed by Chip Kelly a couple times, fought every fiber of my being to look over and say, UCLA sucks, and just walk away. But no, can't do it. Can't do it.
Keep it professional.
Got to keep it professional, exactly. I got to do the right thing here. But no, it was a great opportunity, great way to really just to break this out, because this is the first time we've ever been able to do this with Kern Radio, or with American General Media, I apologize, with ESPN Radio. They took care of us. They really, really did. They hooked us up with great seats. Obviously, we were able to cover the whole thing. This bread in between the quarters was nice. I mean, when you talk about just a buffet style thing for all the media, it was awesome to experience, to be honest with you. And again, it's a great place to really sit down, rub elbows with a lot of people from around the industry, sports journalism in general, a lot of random reporters, influencers, whomever is there covering the game at the time for the Chargers and the Raiders. And my favorite part of it, though, was really walking around with the fans. I was telling JR this. That's how I usually like to really experience these games, is walking around with the fans, figuring out what they love about this place. Granted, you're walking around, all you hear is the Raiders chant the entire time. Raiders! The entire time, which I love, don't get me wrong. Grew up with it, so I get it. But it really was one of those situations where I was like, they really hooked up the Raiders with this one. Like, this was a home for them that I think fits really, really well. Didn't get to go inside the Twitch lounge. That thing, I was like, I tried to tell him, I was like, we stream on Twitch every single day, 7 to 9. I should be able to get in, right? It is what it is. No.
So what's a Twitch lounge?
I'm assuming it's like their VIP lounge area. There's 2 of them. There was one called the Twitch Lounge, and there was another one. The name of it escapes me, to be completely honest with you, but it's besides the point. But it's like just a exclusive area, I would assume, for VIP members, Twitch members, whomever, influencers they invited just to come and relax, watch the game in an area where they know they're not going to get messed with or anything like that. You know what I mean? So it's just.
So where do they do the press conference after the game?
Press conference is right next to the locker room. So basically, there's an elevator that connects the media at level 400, and then field level, which is level 0, is the locker room, like what you see usually when the guys are walking by post game, with the line of fans that are all giving them high fives, all that type of stuff. That's field level. So you'll go down that way, go straight out, and then just take a little walkway. Either if you're going to the away team or the home team, we initially started following some guys thinking they were headed to the same place we were. They were headed to the away team. So we kind of clued in when we realized they were walking halfway across the stadium and said, I don't think the Raiders are over here. Yeah, so we turned around, went back. But it was a really interesting opportunity just to kind of see the ins and outs, the back, behind the scenes of all of this stuff too. The amount of turf that these guys hold on to, just in case, is absurd. But it was, again, really cool experience. We really want to thank our guys out here that hooked us up, and our guys.
Yeah, it was a busy. It was a busy weekend in Vegas, because I remember, what was it, Saturday night they had the Canelo fight.
Well, Friday night you had Worlds Collide here, WWE and
Friday
Triple
night
A.
was MMA. So, I mean, the Saturday night I saw, that's why I was talking with JR as I was doing the BC game, which we'll get into the BC guys tomorrow. I believe we're only going to have Kenny because our boy Rob is due for some surgery procedure in the morning. But as I was running the BC game, I had the Canelo fight behind me. And he was like, man, if I would have known, we could have went up a couple days early.
Dude,
But
well,
I'm
see, here's
sure
the
it
thing.
was a busy weekend in Vegas.
Very, very busy weekend. We've only been here for 2 days. We got here Sunday, not even Sunday afternoon. I think we got here like at 3 in the afternoon. So it really wasn't a whole ton of time to do anything or really start anything. But it really has. Like, it's been a very, very busy sports weekend, and maybe that's the benefit of coming to these things. I mean, I don't know, but I'm not gonna lie to you. If you're listening to my voice right now, I'm looking into tapping into rubbing some elbows with some people about those wrestling events that have been coming here. Because if you don't think I'd love to sit there for Worlds Collide or WrestleMania, you'd be
Of
crazy.
course.
Absolutely. Speaking of which, we'll get with our guy 24 kg at the 8 o'clock hour because our boy I'm going to call him Double Dom now. He's not Dirty Dom anymore. He's Double Dom now.
As
Our
he
boy's
said
got his
last
mega
night,
championship now.
that's why he said last night he is the mega intercontinental champ,
Absolutely.
and rubbed as he was talking about that, Mr. Rusev comes in and tells him he's going after his title. So we'll get into that with 24 kg. But before we get away, I know you were able to sit in the press conference, pull our own audio from the Monday night recap, and this is Gino, pretty much taking the loss on his shoulders.
Took a shot to Dante, before the half. I thought he had a safety on him, thought he had a shot. I gave him a chance. Obviously, didn't work out in our favor. So again, those are things that I got to learn from and be better at. Anything that doesn't look right out there, you put that on my feet. Put that on my shoulders.
I can appreciate quarterbacks that take responsibility for bad play. I genuinely can. We said this about Tua last week when he was stepping up saying that, that it's my fault. I'm the guy, blah, blah, blah. And trust me, we'll get to the Miami Dolphins because
No, we
talked
won't.
about it yesterday. Come on, we got to talk about it. We got to talk
There
about
is
it a little
nothing
bit.
to talk about.
Come on, brother. You were texting me all excited, and rightfully so. You guys looked great. And then, like you said, Tua threw it away, and that happens. And it's just like with this game with the Raiders. Geno, had he played anywhere near Geno-like capabilities, Raiders probably walk away with the win with this game. Especially when Khalil Mack went out, I said, "Oh, okay, he's going to have some time to throw the football. Maybe he won't make these mistakes anymore." Yeah, that didn't happen. That did not actually end up working out for us. But it is what it is. Like I said, I can respect Geno Smith stepping up and being a guy in terms of saying, it's my responsibility. I messed up. Respect the hell out of that. The only thing about that answer I wasn't crazy about was him claiming I need to learn still and figure that out. Homeboy, you are well past the time in your career where you need to learn stuff.
Yeah, you're a
Like,
veteran.
we know who you are. You're not developing your game. We know who Geno Smith is. So I don't necessarily think it boils down to you need to learn more. I think it boils down to you just need to know not to make those mistakes nowadays. Like, if we're talking about Tua, I think Tua, you can still barely give him that leeway of saying you're learning. But even then, you're starting to reach that level of we know who you are.
Slap Gene, or I'd like to slap Tua right now, but
Sure
I know
you would.
there's the Raiders will have their opportunity to learn from this game and go head into Washington as their quarterback
I
is
was just following up.
50-50. So we'll get into to some of these quarterback injuries. We're 2 weeks into the season, and we've already got 5 quarterbacks out or questionable for this week. We'll take a break. We'll get into these and maybe which quarterbacks, if you're like me and you had, Joe Burrow in your fantasy leagues, maybe which quarterbacks you should be looking at. We'll get into that and much more. And if you'd like to be in the running for the Kern County Fair tickets, text in right now at 661-842-2000. We are the Early Bird Special.
Call or text into the to 9 by subscribing to the Early Bird Special on YouTube.
Welcome back. This is the Early Bird Special right here on 101.1 FM, 1230 AM, ESPN Bakersfield. I am live from Las Vegas as we were able to cover the Raiders-Chargers Monday night game last night. Hope you guys enjoyed that, as well as many, many other things that happened in the world of sports. We'll talk to our guy 24KG about all things wrestling. Wrestlepalooza coming up this weekend. AAA Worlds Collide was last Friday. Plus, we got to talk to him about this big announcement that Triple H made on Friday of the WWE taking Wrestlemania to Saudi Arabia. A lot of fans in America not very happy about that. I'll give you my thoughts on that when we talk to our guy 24KG. Personally, I saw it coming. The writing was on the wall. We talked about this months ago when they first announced that they were moving this year's WrestleMania away from New Orleans back to Vegas. Would you allow a group of people to really have that much power of where you have to have your events? Writing's on the wall. That's all I got to say.
Yeah,
So
and we'll keep it into some other news from Saudi Arabia later in the show, as they have announced a professional flag football tournament that will be live in March of next year with some professional players and some retired players coming out of retirement just to play. And I'm wondering, is it the money maybe? And the NFL, ESPN, WWE. And we saw it on the at the Canelo fight on Saturday, which I should stop calling it the Canelo fight. It should be the Crawford fight, which I won $25 on that. Thank you.
Attaboy.
But
He was
going
at the
back
game last night too. Actually got some pretty warm welcome. I was very surprised. I was thinking that the Hispanic culture there in Vegas was not going to be very happy that Canelo lost that fight.
But he was so respectful about everything, and we'll get into some 559 fight as we'll have Jesus coming in tomorrow at 8:30. We'll get into the next 559 fight. But to keep it in the NFL, not only, we can go with Washington first. Jaden Daniels having a knee injury after this past Thursday's game, and now it looks like he's 50-50, and the next man up would be Marcus Mariota.
That's the interesting part of this, right? Mariota potentially playing against his former team, and honestly, if I'm a Washington Commanders fan, don't know if you want Marcus playing against the Raiders, especially with how solid their defense looked this week against a more formidable quarterback in Justin Herbert, going against a guy like Marcus Mariota, although he is run heavy. And it did seem to me that the Raiders defense had a little bit of trouble kind of containing the run from the quarterback. I would trust more that you would obviously want your guy Jaden Daniels in that seat. This is a 50-50 shot whether he plays on Sunday or not. I would actually expect them probably to err on the side of caution and not play him if this injury is anywhere close to being somewhat serious. You don't want your franchise quarterback really dealing with a knee injury this early in the season. Plus, one bad tweak could turn that knee injury to an ACL tear, and that's the last thing you want to see from a developing quarterback. The other one that we have to highlight as well is the one that came out of Sunday's game. That would be J.J. McCarthy after playing against Atlanta and getting beat up from them as well, dealing with a lower leg injury. He is also on the potential block of not playing this week. Carson Wentz.
Schefter reported this morning, said he's out for 2 to 4 weeks, that they're going to be they're not going to put him on IR because they're hoping a quick recovery. But Carson Wentz, the first NFL quarterback to start for 6 teams in 6 years. And I will have to give it to you, man. That Atlanta defense looked rough. They looked rough and tough. Last time I checked it, they had 6 or 7 sacks before I turned it.
It was fantastic. Don't get me wrong. Watching the entire game, I was a very, very happy Falcons fan. However, here's the thing. You can give me one game. That's fine. I need consistency. Granted, there's a lot of great milestones that happened during that Friday or that Sunday night game. I'll get the day right eventually. That Sunday night game. Pierce's first sack, Walker's first sack, Bowman's first pick, Watts' first pick. You look at how they played again. The defense at least looks solid. The offense couldn't score. That was a big problem for me, but it is what it is. but consistency is key. The opposite side of this ball, though, would be the play from J.J. McCarthy. No consistency on that side whatsoever at the quarterback position. And you already got people now on the internet, at least, calling out saying JJ might be one of the worst starting quarterbacks in the league ever. I wouldn't go that far. I think that's a little bit of a stretch. But I'm not going to lie, the first 2 weeks of play, not crazy about what I've seen. But then again, that's why I wanted to post this question to you, my friend. Do we have, kind of like what Derek Carr brought up the other day in terms of developing these young quarterbacks, are we putting too much in terms of expectations on guys like JJ? Because, I mean, I said it last week, JJ McCarthy in college never really threw for over 200 yards. He was never really the flashy quarterback of he's going to come out there and sling it and just have 400 yards and be the reason the team won. It's always kind of a team build on the offense when JJ McCarthy is the quarterback. So is it really fair of everybody, including myself, to come out and say JJ McCarthy looking pretty awful in the first 2 weeks of his career?
I mean, that's a tough question because, yes, I do agree with Carr that the teams are putting too much pressure on these young quarterbacks. But on the other side, it's just the league that we're watching. I mean, how the NFL is formed, where these rookie contracts, these teams are kind of forced to, see what they have before they have to, break a record with these contract deals. I mean, you have, 4, maybe 5 with the option to see what you got before, you're kind of backed into a corner to see what you got. Luckily, I mean, not luckily, but with McCarthy, this is kind of his true rookie year with him being injured and had to sit out last year. But I'm starting to think McCarthy is just not that type of quarterback that the Vikings really need when they have, players like JJ McCarthy, or not, with JJ Justin Jefferson, when they get their receiver 2 that's going to come back from suspension here in a couple of weeks. I almost think that it just doesn't fit that O'Connell type offense.
Do you think so? You think it's just the skill play? Because, I mean, we've seen it across the league, especially the last couple of years. Where you get drafted really does depend, or really does matter in terms of your development, and depend on how much development you're going to get in the first couple of years. I mean, Mac Jones, I think for the 49ers looked pretty solid. Not exactly better than Brock Purdy would have, but he still had some moments of looking pretty flashy. Obviously, Baker Mayfield being one of the best success stories of this, getting drafted by the Cleveland Browns and being essentially shot in the foot. He had to go to the LA Rams to really revive his career. Now he's the go-to guy in Tampa. Daniel Jones this year with the Colts. I mean, we were talking about the Colts being an awful team coming into this. They've scored on the first 10 drives. The first 10 drives of the season. They're the only team in NFL history that's never had to punt for the first 2 games of the season. That is not something to shy away from. That's pretty impressive. And that shows me that maybe it really was Daniel Jones in New York that wasn't working. Not necessarily that Daniel Jones himself was not working. So,
I mean, just what we saw last year from Sam Darnold. Everyone was, it's Sam Darnold, but he's a gunslinger. And that's what I think fits in Minnesota when you got those types of receivers and that you're running that type of offense. I just don't think JJ is a good fit in Minnesota.
You think they need somebody more on the lines of maybe a Jordan Love, Sam Darnold, somebody that's not afraid to sit back and throw it deep to somebody like Justin Jefferson in order to be successful?
Yeah, and I almost think that they kind of shot themselves in the foot letting Darnold go. And even, I'll go back even to Cousins. I mean, Cousins looked better in that offense than what we've seen in JJ, but it is still only 2 weeks. But you mentioned it in college. I wasn't a big fan of him in college, but he wasn't a gunslinger in college.
No.
So I just don't know how it's going to fit. I mean, he reminds me of more of like a Mac Jones type, Patriot type quarterback. And I just don't know how this is going to pan out. I know O'Connell has spent, even when the offseason we brought it up, even when he was injured last week, he had time that he sat with JJ after every game, and they sat and watched tape together. So he's definitely invested in the future of JJ McCarthy being with the Vikings. But if we don't see an upgrade here in the next, 2 months with JJ, they might have, a tough decision to make on are we going to let this rookie deal play out and just, see what this, I mean, it's putting a lot of weight on not only the defense that looks a little mixed up, even the defense. I know they're missing 2 or 3 key pieces on that Vikings defense, but they're not looking like the Vikings defense, and I'm not seeing them blitz as much as, a Flores led defense is used to.
And that might be just the way they wanted to come into this season. Obviously, much like the offense, maybe the defense just doesn't want to open up the playbook as much, show off a lot of these blitz packages that they're planning on using at the later part of the year to stunt a lot of these better teams in the playoff area. But I don't know. I kind of agree with you in the sense of maybe JJ is just not the right quarterback for that offense in Minnesota. But at the same time, there's something about JJ that makes me believe that he's coachable. It makes me believe that they're able to find the best out of him and kind of move him towards that. I think O'Connell's entire coaching idea is the fact that he's a quarterback whisperer. So maybe we are overreacting, and maybe he will figure this out at the end of it all and be able to turn into a gunslinger like they would need him to be. But watching him in that game against Atlanta on Sunday, there was just something a little off. His comfortability wasn't there. He didn't look like he was really, I don't want to say prepped because that's not the right word, but maybe they weren't expecting the type of night that they got from the Atlanta defense as well. Because, like I said, you're not really expecting the Atlanta defense to be able to get to the quarterback very often. They are historically bad at doing that. So maybe that was the case. Atlanta just did a very good job at rattling a young quarterback, and we'll see here in the next 2 to 4 weeks when he comes back and most likely wins that starting spot back from Carson Wentz. But I don't know. Like, there's a lot to believe that this may be a big warning sign for fans looking to see if J.J. McCarthy is the answer for the Minnesota Vikings going forward. Handful of the other injuries we got to get to before we go to a break, too. Joe Burrow out for 3 months with turf toe. It's the most severe case of turf toe I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah,
But
Schefter was talking about, like, everyone thinks turf toe, like you're stubbing your toe. But, I mean, this one tore some ligaments. I mean, he's going to have surgery. I know backup Jake Browning looked all right. Yeah, you look at the stats, 241 yards, 2 touchdowns, but they don't mention the 3 interceptions he threw. And this is on a defense that weren't expecting. Obviously, they were prepping against Joe Burrow. But I know this morning, Schefter just reported Mike White, veteran old Jet quarterback, and Sean Clifford were both signed this morning to be on the practice squad. And as they kind of see what are we going to get, I know they are now 2-0. So you look at it, they're looking at up to 3 months for Joe, or up to 2 months. So you're looking at 8 to 12 weeks that he could be out. So he can be back at the end of the season. But I mean, I just don't know when it comes to Jake Browning or any of the other quarterbacks that they have on that roster. Is there still a chance? I mean, it's going to be tough.
I'm going to go with no. We've seen what this Cincinnati Bengals team looks like without Joe Burrow. It is not usually a positive sign, unfortunately. So I'm going to go with no. But at the same time, again, I don't know after watching that game because I was able to watch it on Sunday. I'm not 100% sure if what we saw was the fact that Jacksonville was that bad or Jake Browning is that good. I don't think it's Jake Browning. I mean, 3 interceptions kind of shows you exactly what you were expecting from Jake Browning. And lucky for him that Joe had already set the table for him pretty well. And again, I know I keep saying this every week, but the more and more I watch Trevor Lawrence, the more and more I'm kind of sitting there thinking, man, this guy is not progressing. I don't know if he's regressing. I don't think that's the right word, but he's definitely not getting any better. There's really nothing that I have seen from the Jacksonville Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence to say that he has improved his game at all. And that is a big tell for me because that just shows me you went up against a pretty skeptical defense in Cincinnati and you couldn't get the job done. There were a lot of passes where I was sitting there thinking, what are you doing? Granted, Trey Hendrickson's on the other side, but I just this isn't the Trevor Lawrence I'm used to watching. It's really not. I don't know if it's the scheme that's just not working out. Maybe him and Cohen, because there was that moment where he just waved Cohen off, and I don't care what Coach Cohen says. Granted, emotions run wild during games. I realize that, but that is visible frustration from a quarterback that every single year, much like a Justin Herbert. And now, I mean, Joe Burrow goes down. We're most likely going to be looking for a top 4 guy. It looks to me like Justin Herbert finally found his lane to get into the conversation again. But to be honest with you, I thought it would have been Trevor. I really did going into this season. If there was ever if there was going to be one quarterback that was going to impress people, I thought it was going to be Trevor Lawrence. But
Burrow,
again,
I mean, going
here I am.
year 5, year 6. I mean, this is the third time that he's going to miss a significant amount of time. But we'll take our final break of the hour. We'll get into I've got a question for you because, I had Joe Burrow as my starting quarterback in 2 of my 7 fantasy leagues, but I woke up to a trade offer that I wanted to bounce off you right after this break, the early bird special on ESPN Bakersfield, 12:30 a.m. 1 FM.
Now, back to the Early Bird Special.
I love this song, but you got me worried for a second because I was like, ain't no way there's a clean version of this.
I mean, with
No
the
way.
NFL, 2 weeks in, we've already got, Purdy out, Jaden on the fence, JJ McCarthy, Burrow, and now Justin Fields is dealing with a concussion after he left late in the fourth quarter beatdown with the Bills.
Who's the backup for the Jets?
The
I haven't
Jets'
even
backup
thought
right
about
now is
that.
Tyrod Taylor.
Oh, that's right. Tyrod came in and scored a touchdown. What am I talking about? Well, the Jets
So,
actually probably be at least. I mean, that's. I don't want to say that's lockstep, but I mean that's not much of a downplay or a downgrade.
no, yeah, I mean, he looked good. And Justin Fields, when he left, was like 3 for 11 for 27 yards. So, I mean,
Yeah,
it wasn't like he was on fire that game anyway. But my question is you think this is when teams start calling Atlanta about Cousins?
possible. It genuinely is. There's a lot of quarterbacks that are obviously still out there in free agency, but I think the top coveted one to get would be someone like Kirk Cousins, someone that obviously has history as a starting quarterback and as a successful starting quarterback. And I think Atlanta's found their guy. I've said this week in and week out. What I've seen from guys like Penix that I don't see from guys like JJ McCarthy is his just poise, his ability to kind of sit in the pocket, read the play. And it doesn't seem like there's ever a moment where he's hurried, he's freaking out, like the pocket's collapsing and he has to do something. I think Atlanta's found a guy. I don't think that he's the guy yet, but I think they found a guy. And I think going forward, it's probably going to start showing itself more and more the more reps this kid gets. So I think right now, a trade for Kirk Cousins, I think it's a very good possibility. Now, who makes that trade? That's going to be the big thing. I don't see teams like Cincinnati making a trade for Kirk Cousins just because of how much money he is, obviously,
Or
and
Minnesota?
yeah, or Minnesota because it's not worth the dollar sign you're going to have to pay Atlanta in order to get him because Atlanta's looking to get rid of the majority, if not all, of this contract. So if I
I
am a
don't see
team,
Washington. I think the only one that would make any sense would be the Jets.
yeah, I have to agree with you, especially if for some reason Tyrod Taylor doesn't work out. There's no way I don't see the Jets making a phone call and saying, let's get a deal done. Let's get
Well,
this working because it's just not going to work out if not.
before we get away, I mean, players or team managers like me that had Joe Burrow in a couple leagues, or, even my backup, I had JJ McCarthy after week 1. Luckily, in one of my leagues, I had a glitch in my NFL app and I was forced to take 2 hot top 5 quarterbacks, but the second one is Mahomes, and I haven't been happy with what I got with Mahomes. But looking at just looking at the waiver wires, I mean, Daniel Jones, Jake Browning, Tyrod Taylor, Carson Wentz. I mean, are any of these guys maybe you'll be looking at? Maybe Danny Dimes?
I'm starting to believe in Danny Dimes a little bit with this Indiana led offense. There's something that they know that the Giants could not figure out. And at this point right now, he's at least managing the games well. Like I said, 10 straight drives of scoring. That's nothing to wag a finger at. And the fact that this is the only team in the NFL that has not had to punt yet.
And it's not like you could blame 90% of that on Miami, but I mean, even going into a team like Denver, I was expecting Denver to just smash them, and they looked weak.
They did, and and don't get me wrong, Patrick Surtain left with an injury. We realize this. But the rest of that defense ain't a slouch neither. One corner don't make your whole defense. So, personally, I think Daniel Jones has done enough to at least warrant for some of you, maybe your Joe Burrow fantasy owners, to pick him up and maybe put Joe on your IR spot or just sit him on the bench until he comes back.
Well, we'll take our final break of the hour. We'll come back with our boy 24KG and talk wrestling right after this. We are the Early Bird Special.
Piles 100 feet.
$50 off select mowers, $2,000 off select Gator UVs, and $3,000 off select compact tractors.
Did I hear your dad got a John Deere? Yep, bad day to be a leaf pile.
Gear up for fall at an authorized John Deere dealer now through September 30th. Learn more at johndeere.com/gearupforfall.
Some people just know you can save money on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like, to check if they're going for it on 4th down before going to the concession stand.
Yeah, give me 3 hot dogs, 2 jumbo
Touchdown, baby! What?
Hey, buddy, you want cheese with those?
Yeah, checking first is smart.
No.
So check Allstate first and see what you could save. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Potential savings vary, including based on how you buy, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate North American Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
ESPN Bakersfield, 1230 AM, 101.1 FM. 266 CG. Bakersfield, an American General media station. So much sports to listen to. You better hold on to your...
Hi, I'm Mike Ham with NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network. The first of 4 Monday Night Football doubleheaders this NFL season took place in Week 2. The Buccaneers taking down the Texans in the final few seconds of the game, and the Chargers bolting past the Raiders in AFC West showdown. Texans running back Nick Chubb gave Houston a 19-15 lead on a 25-yard touchdown run with just over 2 minutes to go in the game. That proved to be just enough time for Baker Mayfield to lead the Bucs on an 11-play, 80-yard drive, culminating with a 2-yard Rashad White touchdown with just 6 seconds remaining. The Texans offense never saw the field again. The Bucs moved to 2-0 with a 19 to win. In the second game of the night, Justin Herbert and the Chargers offense got off to a fast start and held on to defeat the Raiders. 20-9 was the final score there. Elsewhere, Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow opting to have surgery, expected to be out 3 months with the grade 3 turf toe. This has been NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance supervisor at a manufacturing facility, he knows keeping the line up and running is a top priority. That's why he chooses Grainger. Because when a drive belt gets damaged, Grainger makes it easy to find the exact specs for the replacement product he needs.
Now, here are your hosts, Sparky and Burdick.
Welcome back. This is the Early Bird Special right here on 101.1 FM, 1230 AM, ESPN Bakersfield. G.
Yes, sir.
All things wrestling. Good, sir. How are you?
Doing good this Tuesday morning. You know, it's a lot going on in the world of professional wrestling and sports entertainment. I'm pretty sure you guys have your hot takes on it. Let's crack it open like a can of that good Steve Weiser.
Well, see, you've already brought it up, so we might as well jump into this. The announcement on Friday.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, not a lot of wrestling fans very happy that we will be headed to Saudi Arabia for WrestleMania in 2 years. Not this year, but in 2027. Thoughts on that first?
Well, you know, I figured that the UK would have gotten a WrestleMania first as far as it being out of the country. I'm not surprised. That is culminating in Saudi because they've had this deal for about 10 years now. And I'm pretty sure a WrestleMania or two or a Royal Rumble, which we've already seen kind of, was in the cards for that to happen. Nonetheless, they can afford to do that over there. You know, they make it a whole 2-week spectacle. It's the top billing of the buck that they're going to get paid. Now, as far as the rumors that we're going to see Stone Cold come out of retirement, if you don't think that they've got enough money to get John Cena out of retirement, they're trying to pull, you know, whatever's possible to be possible. We might even see AEW be brought into the fold from the hot interwebs. I mean, seriously, if we could get Sting out of retirement to do Undertaker, I'd pay PLE money for that, even though, you know, they old, but they still got enough kick in them. They could make it look good. AEW's hidden Sting's, age for a long time. So is WWE with Undertaker. So we might see people that we didn't think we would ever see back in that aspect, or even The Rock come out of retirement and give us that match with Roman Reigns. It's too much to really go down the rabbit hole of. So we'll see in time.
Well, I'll take my take. I really hope you're wrong with that one because I do not want to see any of those guys, and it'll kind of bounce off. I think they should have.
Oh yeah,
Goldberg, because Goldberg was just not enough for me to.
They got enough in the pocket to bring him back too, most definitely.
And I know The Rock. He's lost a lot of muscle for doing a lot of the prep for some movies he's working on. I don't want to see The Rock, and I'm not too shocked with the Saudi Arabia announcement. I'm not really concerned about it. My only concern was how early do I have to get up to watch WrestleMania? But I mean, personally, as long as it's making money and we're gonna get a good show, I'm not upset about it. But when it comes to, like we talked about last week, where Burdick lost his mind talking about AJ Lee, and I'm like, there's certain points where we just got to stop with bringing back these old wrestlers. I mean, because we have so much on these rosters that we're not even getting enough of these guys, the active wrestlers, to start, bringing back the propaganda type, the nostalgia type wrestlers. I mean, I think we've had enough. Let's just put on some good shows. And I mean, Friday night, I mean, I
agree with you.
Friday night show was awesome. And I'm not even a real big fan of that, but I sat there and watched it. I was entertained, but if they start cross-pathing with AEW, I'm just going to have to turn the channel.
Look, there's enough money over there for them to do anything. And when I say anything, we might see Braun Strowman versus Omos again. We don't know what's going on. It's ridiculous. Now, I didn't say any of these things were good. I just said I'm not surprised. When it comes down to it, somebody's getting paid. And WWE is definitely going to be the first. And maybe, just maybe, after they get all this money, that those ticket prices will go back down. We could only hope. Hey, they might pull out a match with Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny. If wishes are being granted, definitely John Cena's going to be there. He's not going to let anybody one up him on that. So come on.
No. Well, and I agree with you. I don't think we need these older wrestlers coming back. You probably will get Roman and Rock, but that's just because that's what they've been brewing for the last couple of years. Good luck getting Stone Cold back, though. I don't
got think two new bionic knees.
Look, man, I'm just saying, like, the only thing that we've seen, or at least we've heard of him coming back, would be Nevada. If he can't do a show in Vegas, then why is he flying all the way out to Saudi Arabia? You know what I mean?
Money talks.
I know, but again,
Ted DiBiase said it best. Everybody's got a price.
This is true. This is
very. Thank you. I was waiting for the laugh.
Wrestlepalooza this weekend. What are your thoughts, predictions? What should we be looking for going into?
Well, I'd like to bring up something very interesting with the Brawns versus the Usos. We have gotten a lot of indications of just basically, straight up bloodline hints along the way of them reforming in some way, shape, or fashion. And I think that WWE realized maybe ending the bloodline the way they did was a bad move, especially now that seeing as how Triple H in 2026 has no storylines to fall back on that were in the previous era. So now, what are we going to do? All new things, and some things aren't working out with people, some things are. But one thing that was Avengers level to WWE was the bloodline. Now, can we get a reunited faction in some way, shape, or form with a new member? Hint, Jacob Fatu, who's been off of television for a while. I think we might see that. And I say that 3 times because whom he be on the phone with. Was it Roman Reigns? We heard a check reference to no Ulafalo around your neck when speaking to his brother, who he said, hey, you just can't. Gave no explanation. Great storyline. We might see Jacob Fatu join that, and in that place, would something happen with Sami Zayn and crossing over in SmackDown because he is a former Bloodline member, and might it be possible to see them join up or take that U.S. title off of Sammy if he doesn't fall in line and acknowledge what's going on. You think Roman, the storyline with this guy, ain't gonna kind of spin the block on the bloodline one more time? Like WWE isn't gonna squeeze the life out of that storyline like how they're known for doing?
And they're
I guess
already
you don't watch
stirring
it
up
right.
the Uso versus Uso. You know, they're already mixing in. And one thing I wanted to throw out there is the not only the mega intercontinental champ,
Oh yeah,
Dom,
my boy Dom.
but
Definitely, man.
the
Doing his thing.
standoff with Rusev going backstage was, I almost spit out my drink. I was
Well,
like,
look, I'll tell you like this. It was either going to be AJ Styles or Rusev. I'm glad it's one of those guys, and Rusev deserves it.
yes.
See, I think it's a better idea that it's Rusev because we haven't seen Dom go up against somebody of physical presence. You know,
Or
in a
the Judgment Day say that they're going to abandon him in the next match. You know, the little fallout they had in the backstage segment was a great little Easter egg for the way they're feeling about his affiliation with the Americano.
do you think that we're gonna get that King of the Luchadors ideal, the faction of all luchadors finally?
No, I think they're just going to jump him. Like that's how it goes. Yeah. Some old school WCW. We gonna act cool. Then we gonna jump you. Then we gonna have a match. You're gonna go to your friends for help. Your friends ain't gonna help you. Who you gonna rely on? Maybe your dad. We get some kind of Mysterio father and son going up against the Americanos and Triple A. Anything is possible right now.
See, I don't know if you're gonna go that far.
We got the third one last
Hey,
night.
they could.
It's true.
Could.
It's true. We did get the third one last night. But see, my thought is this: say that the Judgment Day does do that. We blow it up, or at least with Dom, and they jump him. We don't see Dom on WWE television for quite some time. But that's because he's down in AAA, literally becoming the king of luchadors. And the next time we see Dom on actual WWE television, I say actual because obviously AAA isn't necessarily seen as a full-blown roster show yet, although it should be, to be honest with you. It could be the revamping of the Dom character that we desperately need. We finally see the Eddie Guerrero version of Dom, and not the cheating, lying, stealing version. The champion Eddie Guerrero, the formidable wrestler that Dominic Mysterio could be, because he's been doing this for 20 plus years. And if he comes back with a team full of formidable luchadors, you could see a invasion this size of NXT invasion from AAA coming into the main roster. And you can't sit there and say they don't have the names to do it. Pentagon, Mr. Iguana. I know there's a whole bunch that obviously from the WWE side that were there for Worlds Collide this last Friday. But they could be building Dom into literally one of the greatest mega champions ever.
Most definitely. Well, as long as they don't throw him in the LWO, he'll be fine.
Please don't. Yes.
What's going on with the LWO down there right now?
That brings up the question because I was going to ask you what's going on with Andrade?
They're in AAA right now. Andrade got released. Talk of wellness violations, behavioral issues, whatnot, ghosting the company. That kind of just led to it because they don't really let people go in this fashion. So when it's something serious like this, I would assume that all the chances given plus his non-progression with English promos kind of held him back. He's a great talent. He's a great worker. He has a good relationship with CMLL. He has a great relationship with a lot of overseas indie companies and whatnot. I don't know if you would ever see him in TNA or AAA because of the affiliation with WWE right now, but he'll definitely land on his feet. But it's a shame to see the guy kind of pan out. The second way around kind of didn't work out for him, even though we've seen flares of the Andrade from NXT when he was a champion, when he had great matches against Drew McIntyre, when this whole situation with Dragon Lee, and before that he was kind of courting the El Gato Fantasmas, those guys with the other Latin group that was really like the mob down there, and nothing happened with that. So to see the ball dropped on him twice is kind of disappointing, whether it was by his own hand or just circumstances. You can't really make an excuse with the opportunities WWE is giving you. You see a lot of second English as their second language wrestlers come into the company like Stephanie McCure has been progressing in her English language promos rapidly. Asuka has even gotten better over the years. Shinsuke over the years, and example after example. So maybe that held him back, but man, in the ring, this guy could go. So it's just disappointing.
You know, a name that I've noticed at least that's gotten a lot better in terms of getting better at English that they don't highlight is Julia.
Very
Julia,
much so.
fantastic English promo on Friday with Kiana and stuff like that, setting up with BFAB that I was not expecting out of her at all. So I think that a lot of these overseas wrestlers are starting to get the hint that you kind of need to do this in order to be marketable in this company.
Yeah, when you're from the international waters, you got to adapt.
Yeah, definitely. And with the same thing with Stephanie Vecchia, but I'll use that to go into Raw last night. We got to see, the pumped up John Cena, which he mentioned, only 6 more appearances. And
Great promo.
We finally got Bayley out in the ring, which was very strange, but even weirder when she got in the back and Lyra followed up with her, and I was like, okay, this is getting a little silly. And
at this point, can we just don a cape and like a mask for her and just call her the Hugger?
Right.
It's something going on right there. I think shades of Bayley that resemble a lot of Wyatt isms is kind of the thing that whomever stuck this on her, she's like, whatever, I'll go with whatever. There's no time that we could say that's left on her contract that we could kind of guesstimate what's really going on, and this might be her send off to greener pastures or just another opportunity. She's been great. I don't understand who's writing this garbage right now for her. I feel bad for her. Bayley has always been one of my favorites. You see it in the ring. She got it, man. She got the pop that she got. She's ready for an opportunity. And it's kind of, once again, seeing her wasted makes you scratch your head like, what's going on back there in creative? Some things are just not going over that maybe sound good in a meeting, maybe look good on paper. Maybe the talent can execute it, but it's just not clicking right now.
Yeah,
they're too busy with AJ Lee.
And
new toy, man. Hey, old new toy, the new model. Nostalgia gets you every time.
See, but that's the thing.
Norfest.
That's what I'm saying. 2025 wrestling should not be 2015 wrestling.
This is why we have too many Transformers movies.
Exactly. And see, does anybody need another Transformer?
No, but we'll take it. Especially if Michael Bay's directed it. Come on, man. I'll take it.
I don't think we'll take it this time. I think I'm gonna have to pass.
Hey, they gotta give me something, man. They just pushed Mortal Kombat back till like next year, so I gotta get something.
Well, with the Stephanie Vecchia returning, she was I liked her shirt saying, wrestling is my first language was dope. But
great.
With that whole whatever story they're going with Stephanie and how they brought in, Rhea to kind of put the seasoning in, how she's gonna follow whoever wins the title. It almost feels like it's already set that Stephanie's gonna take this title and we're gonna get, a Stephanie Rhea match. And while Io and Asuka will probably go into their own ways in their own little feud, but do you see something maybe where Asuka kind of screws up that match for her?
I definitely have been thinking that because the way it's becoming so obvious, they almost make you feel like, okay, like you just said, Stephanie's a lock for this. That's what's going to happen. I think we get a smosh finish. It leads to a fatal 4-way at another PLE. Maybe what do we have coming up after this? Perth, something like that, whatever, wherever they are internationally. And stretch it out with this vacant women's title as long as possible and then culminate at something that they could really just milk and cash in on with whomever it is. And we know it's going to be Stephanie, but I think they want to take you on a little ride and have us see her chase, which we have kind of seen her in the position of, but not with this push. So now that it's definite, it could go down at Wrestlepalooza and she walks away with that title because they need somebody with it. They need that visibly on TV. It moves merch, and that might be the case. But if not, we'll definitely see some kind of progression of a match with more people.
What are your thoughts on Liv getting in this? I mean, we saw her during this entire announcement
She's
thing.
about due for a return. I wouldn't be surprised. She's about due for a return. She's been rehabbing ahead of schedule. You know, that John Cena program. Oh, you're going to be out for this many months. Now I'm back in a few weeks. That was my check.
It's like
So I'm glad to see her doing her thing. But
I
where does she fit in this storyline? And do we see a unraveling of the Judgment Day as soon as she reappears?
see.
That's
My
the
thing
thing
is
that I'm
that
thinking.
she's got an instant connection to the championship because she obviously was a former champion and never really lost it. But at
Facts.
this point, I don't know. Like, I don't feel like the WWE would have put her dead center. Now, granted, she is the queen of the ring, and Cody isn't available for the king of the ring, so he can't be there to be the face. But dead center, right behind Triple H, and she hasn't been on TV in months. She's been dealing with an injury. That tells me she's right around the corner.
Hey, I'm telling you, anytime now. When when the butter's in the pan, you gotta throw the meat in to get to cooking. And right now they season it. It's about to happen.
And there was a report this morning that came out says Tiffy isn't medically cleared. Is this true? Is this something that they're a story with this, or is
You know,
this
we never know these days.
right?
You know, but there was some speculation about after her match with Jade Cargill that she was a little banged up. She took a spill on the floor that they're kind of telling her from a move you might want to chill out on. I get it. Go hard, go home.
That was a
But
hell of a match too.
let's keep longevity in the focus and foresight for the foreseeable future. I mean, because nobody likes to see great talent get hurt, take a spill, or slow down their career due to injury. So yeah,
You know what
you
they're
know, we're
doing?
all the best to Tiffy right there.
You know what they're doing? They're just sizing her up for her El Grande Americano mask so she can be the female version for this all El
I
Grande thing.
wouldn't be surprised, man.
Team her up with Lita.
Well, Grande Americana. Hey, however it's going, they got to milk it, man.
Dude, at some point, I mean, that was a pretty funny. They finally did the Spider-Man meme. I was like, when are you gonna do it?
That, come on, yeah, everybody's
They're all
just
pointing at each other.
It was
like,
fantastic.
come on.
But
Well,
That was coming sooner or later.
we're gonna go back to SmackDown. What did you think about the return of Cody?
Well, I put it like this, man. Cody's no slouch. But just because he was off filming a movie, I don't think that he was sitting around drinking Wheatleys. And it looks like he's in ring shape, ready to go. So I'm happy to see that they had to do something before this feud with Drew culminates. He was what were they talking about? He hadn't defended the title in almost 40 days, blah, 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 whatever it goes down. Put it like this. He's going to deliver. It's going to be a banger of a match. And it's about time. I wish they would have had more promo leading up to it because a feud between them deserves a little bit more time than just a Friday go home show on SmackDown or a week before with an appearance. We, I think, as fans, felt like we were getting more, but WWE is going to cram in as much as they can. These are guys, Drew and Cody, that appear in regular segments maybe 4 times a night between a 3 or 2 hour show. So we're going to get fed some storyline progression, I believe, in a rapid pace this Friday before WrestlePalooza.
dude, at this point, though, like I think Drew McIntyre is really the only one on that show that can be the villain for Cody until
Only
you
legit
maybe
contender.
walk over there.
We've got Damian Priest, who's been out with injury. Jacob Fatu is a tweener and has been out, off TV for a while now, about a month. Um,
But do either
who
of
else
those men really
that's
scream
credible as a
heel?
feud? No, these guys are contenders, not heels.
Right.
So as far as it comes down to contenders, we're getting NXT tonight, Homecoming. I felt like Carmelo Hayes had potential. But it still does. Great guy. The match with him and Cody earlier, what was it, last year or whatnot, was a great starting point for him. And then they kind of just, let him fall by the wayside. He ended up with Miz. We don't even know what's going on with that storyline anymore. We see them tagging, we see them feuding one week, then we see this, that, and the other. It's hard to keep up with. Nonetheless, everybody turns on this. So we know this is going to happen at certain points. Will they give him a push that Carmelo I know can carry? I hope so. Because the guy's the next coming of Shawn Michaels in certain flashes. He's got it. Will he rise to those occasions that they see him really headlining in down the road? Possibly. I also hope so, and I think he can deliver that. But for now, man, we need more heels on SmackDown. We need people to give Cody problems. We can't just run him back. We can't run it back to Brock Lesnar. We can't keep running back to other people. Maybe somebody will come over from Raw, cause an issue. We'll see. But man, it's not looking good over there in the heel department.
So quick little, not really a segue, but a little bit of cap on one. I agree with you when it comes to Carmelo, but I love the side-by-side that we're getting from Carmelo and Braun Breaker's first potential title run, which we actually talked about months ago again. By the way, we figured Carmelo Anthony would be getting the rub with the U.S. title when Braun got the Intercontinental. It's coming about a year and a half later, but it is what it is. But the thought that kind of popped up in my head when you were talking about it, because I think you said something beautiful there. Damian, Jacob, The Miz, you can throw him in on this. Should we kind of abandon the idea of the title of the heel and face thing with wrestling, and should WWE just move towards a contender idea? Because the name contender can be either or, right? It could be a good or a bad thing. You could be a good or a bad guy at any point in time. You don't need to put an actual title on it. I know how wrestling works with the storylines. You need a good and a bad guy. But if you just kind of erase that moniker and say, no, everybody's a contender for a certain title, it might work out better.
Back in the day, not too far back in the day, I don't want to, sound like one of those guys like Hey Shunny, but when we watched wrestling, they used to have number one contender matches, tournaments. This is how we fell in love with the work of Bret Hart, British Bulldog, Jake the Snake, and so forth, of a golden era of where work rate was rewarded. Now, if we get back to that, hey, exactly. If we get back to that just a smidge, what we just spoke on, I think could really move forward viewership and interest in the product, where it's really being scrutinized for overpricing, repetitive storylines, go big or go home events where literally if I go big at this event, I won't have a home to go to. It costs so much. So, when it comes down to your rent or a WWE event, a lot of people are going to opt to watch it at home now. But even at home, with what we're getting, somewhat super satisfactory, there are chinks in the armor that are apparent and showing right now. So the verbiage of a contender could go a long way. And if somebody out there in WWE World Production is hearing this, KG, Sparky, Chris, Early Bird Special, said it first.
They'll never give us the credit for it. But hey.
I know, but still, we got to put it out there. Speak it into the universe.
Real quick, with the last couple minutes we got, any final predictions for Wrestlepalooza this weekend? Is Seth and Becky going to survive this onslaught from CM Punk and AJ? What are your thoughts?
Well, AJ took the manhandle slam, so you know how that goes when you see the face kind of get kicked in the old shins right there. They're usually going to win the PLE, so I give it to Punk and AJ Lee for the pop. John Cena. We're going to see him go to Suplex City. This is going to be a rough one. I think he pulls it out, goes ahead and, gets his hand raised. Maybe a handshake and acknowledgement between the both of him and Brock Lesnar for a good career, buddy. It's been great working with you. We'll probably see a nostalgia moment or some type of, moment like Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, and Triple H had at WrestleMania where they walked out of the cell together. Something like that. As far as the other matches with what we got going on, I definitely think Stephanie, if it doesn't end in a, crazy finish, is coming out of there with the women's title. And what else do we got going on there at Wrestlepalooza? They stacked that card pretty good there.
And so I need to look up the rest of them. But those are the main three that we really needed to talk about, to be honest with you.
Is Sami Zayn defending that U.S. title?
The Brock Lesnar-John Cena match, is this the last one? And we only got 6 appearances left.
I would hope so, unless the Saudis pull a dump truck up to John Cena's house and let the cash flow just all in his driveway, burying cars. I think that's the only way we'll see another one. It's got to be a ridiculous amount of money. I'm talking
Yeah.
So
Stupid.
disrespectful that generational wealth don't even apply to the term. Like you can't turn this down. You
Yeah, the
know, so
only
that's
two
that's
guys I
that's
see on that fight card is Cody and Drew.
That's
well,
right. No,
there
it's
we
just
go.
Cody.
There we go. You know, Raw wasn't really stacked with matches last night. We got a lot of storyline progression. So, what we had about 4 or 5 matches, a lot of segueing into what's going on with LA Knight, the Usos, the Beckys. Yeah, I mean the Baileys, as what's going on. Whoever she was talking to in there,
The
that was
Grandes.
something. Yeah, the Grandes, the emergence of Rusev as a contender was very,
The other one was
very gratifying.
Penta and Kofi.
Oh man, you know let's give it to Xavier Woods knowing how to just get on people's nerves, man. I will give it to this guy. I will
Morning
give it to this guy.
Woods.
He's doing great. Yes, yes, he's in mourning. He's in
Morning
mourning.
Woods.
Yes, he's doing a great job right now, man. And just shout out to the New Day. Grayson Waller being a grief counselor. It's things that I didn't think would work that would make me laugh or smirk. I'm just like, hey, keep it up, guys.
That's
Whoever's
the
pitching that, if you guys are doing your own, cool. I would like to see them. Once since the Usos are back, maybe we'll actually get a run back with the New Day and the Usos at some point, because that was just one of the best tag team feuds of the last couple of years. And hey, whatever's going to happen with that, it's going to happen. So can't expect too much.
No, but I would love to see them running back. You're right. It's one of the best tag team rivalries of all time. And for those of you who are following Dom's mega championship run as well, seems like he'll be running into Penta very, very soon down there in AAA, which is going to be a way bigger monster than watching him on Raw or SmackDown. We have
Gonna be
run out
lit.
of time, though, my friend. Thank you so much for your time as always. We'll talk to you next week.
Yes, sir. You guys take care, and you already know. Download us, check us out,
Thank you.
stream us on
We got to take a
YouTube.
break real quick.
Early
Respect
bird
the early
special.
bird special at 661 842 2000. 101.1 FM.
What a G unit in Eminem today. Love it. This is the Early Bird Special. Welcome back. I am live from Las Vegas as we covered the Las Vegas Raiders Monday night game yesterday. But we are still live right here on 101.1 FM, 1230 AM, ESPN Bakersfield. We are streaming video as well, as we always do every single day, 7 to 9 on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. You can join us on there. Subscribe, like, share with your friends, all that good stuff. Plenty of reels and stuff that came out from yesterday. I'm going to try to cut up some videos here as soon as I get back this afternoon. Get some new stuff up there on the social medias, including the post-game press conferences, some questions that we asked Pete Carroll, Gino. And I'm also going to look into this for future games because we will be doing this more often. And our boy Sparky will be going at some point as well and be doing the show from over here in Vegas. It is a great time, and I think everybody in the organization should jump in. But it is one of those things that every time I look around, God, I don't want to leave. We should just move the sport. We should move the show here, Sparky.
I want to go see Wizard of Oz. I was just telling Scott that I want to go see the Wizard of Oz movie down the street.
I got to see the Sphere for the first time. I haven't been to Vegas since the Sphere's been built. This is a first for me. When we drove up, I saw it, and it's so cool. It is so cool. Like, I can't get over how freaking awesome this looks.
Scott just was telling me $300 to go see Wizard of Oz.
That's not bad. I'd pay $300, although it's a movie you've probably seen a million times. But
I'll wait. I was telling JR before because I was looking at the home games for the Raiders. I was thinking if I could time it out, I know Metallica might be playing at the Sphere later this year. That might be.
Look at you! I'm gonna have you do some video and stuff like that from the Metallica concert. No, I do want to reach out though to the NFL and see if we can't do the post-game pressers live. If I can't just go live from the post-game press conference. I don't think there's an issue with that. I think we do need to get clearances though, and I'd rather not step on toes and get us kicked out in the first game. So obviously that's why we were unable to do that and unable to go live at all yesterday. We were swiftly told when we got there that is not allowed. So we said, oh, well, I guess you're going to have to just be good with pictures and videos until we could talk about it tomorrow. But after it all, I mean, the Raiders, again, hooked us up, helped out tremendously, too, with all the statistics and stuff they were able to give us. And I know this is just run-of-the-mill media stuff, but people who are listening to us right now that have no idea how this stuff works, it's a really cool experience. It really, really is. It just continues to remind me why I got into this and why I wanted to do this. So I want to thank once again.
It's the perks.
Oh, 100%.
It is the perks.
Man, it's just the ability, the experiences, and I'm just glad to be part of it. Again, just awesome. Thank you to AGM and everybody that let us do this.
I was telling them that was the first time I went to an NFL game. I was running a different sports station, and we were a 49er affiliate. And I was like, "Hey, boss, Tony in the morning. Let's can we at least try to get some tickets?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, we get a family 4-pack for one home game." Obviously, they've changed that up recently, but we went to the old Candlestick and watched my Dolphins get spanked by the 49ers. It was the years we had Jay Fiedler and Ricky Williams, and it was still cold just to see the stadium because I believe that was one of the last years that they played at that stadium. And you could tell going into any of these newer stadiums, there's a reason these older ones just aren't holding up.
No. And, we talked about it with the Commander Stadium just not too long ago. You've got sewer lines that are breaking. And for as much money as these teams make, you would assume these owners would just turn right around and put it back into them. But sometimes that's not the case. The Raiders are not that team, though. I can tell you right now, no expense was held. The Allegiant Stadium is fantastic. The setup is fantastic again, and it was an amazing experience. So I'm excited to do it again. And by proxy,
I'm excited to see what these baseball stadium looks like.
Oh, trust me, I had the same thought. But technically, by proxy, Early Bird Special was on SportsCenter last night. Technically, for those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, they used my answer. during the post-game press conference. So I count that. Although I was not there, they didn't show me in the video as well. They shouldn't. They don't care about the reporter asking the question. But my question to Pete Carroll was used. So I'm saying, hey, we were on SportsCenter, baby. That's all that matters to me. Real quick, news in the world of entertainment. We try to touch that as much as we can on this show as well. Robert Redford died this morning. I don't know if he died this morning, but it was announced this morning. This doesn't hit me as much as I think a lot of other people do. I do love Robert Redford, and obviously all the movies that I've watched growing up, The Sting being probably the most prevalent one that I can think of off the top of my head outside of Butch Cassidy. But, I mean, do you have any thoughts on this, my friend? Robert, obviously a major, major mover in the world of entertainment. And the last thing I remember seeing him in was his short stint in that Captain America movie. I don't know if he did anything after that.
I know he got into a lot of writing and directing.
98 years old.
He didn't do a lot. He didn't do a lot of movies. He was up there in age, but it was the big loss for Hollywood. He's been around forever and has put out some real gems.
Mm-hmm. And it took me for a shock. I mean, we've heard a handful of these passings the last couple of weeks of celebrities and stuff, and unfortunately, there's a little. I don't know if it's I don't even know how to put it, but they say they go in threes. I hope that's not the case, but to see Redford go, that does suck a little bit. And again, just another great, great actor and mover and shaker in the entertainment world that unfortunately will not be here anymore. And in a world where our entertainment is starting to become lax, starting to look like wrestling is the best form of it now doesn't it? All y'all telling us.
Speaking of fake. We had a listener text in and said, "Can't wait to watch the best of the women's division wrestling in trash bags at WrestleMania 43."
Look, man, I'm with you. Don't get me wrong. I don't care for the way they have to wrestle because they do. They have to cover up dang near every piece of their body, which can't be comfortable. But I think Jonathan Coachman kind of said it beautifully over the weekend, and I meant to send this to you, but it's the whole interview, and I don't want you to have to cut through it, Spark. But Coachman was highlighting the fact that they have to wear specific clothing or do specific things because of the religious aspect of it, but the timeline aspect of it, right? We talked about this with the NFL and them going overseas, especially to countries that don't necessarily like us. There's a safety problem to this. And when it comes to the WWE and WrestleMania is their Super Bowl. You're not going to take your family to Riyadh for safety reasons, to be completely honest with you. But you're not going to sit there and say, oh, yeah, we could totally take the family to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia for the weekend. You're kind of taking that part away from it too, right? So I don't know. I get what this is because, to be honest with you, if you want my honest opinion of what I think this is the WWE just adhering to the boss, saying, hey, we'll give you what you want until that debt is gone, and then it's ours. We get to go back to doing what we wanted to, because I really don't believe this entire ideal or this entire thing with Triple H, saying that Triple H is selling out. I don't think that's the case. I think they're just trying to do what they can to be a good partner in the whole TKO situation. And if they can find a way to just get rid of that debt, that's all that matters. So I think that's really what they're shooting for, is if they can just keep the people in Saudi Arabia happy for a year, you get what you wanted. And they've been shopping around the idea of a WrestleMania being outside of the country for the last couple of years. It only made sense, especially with the TKO merger, that Saudi Arabia would be the first one. Obviously, with, as Kimball highlighted many, many times, the amount of money that the Saudi Arabian government puts into this now, it's hard to walk away from it. It really, really is. So, unfortunate. I agree with you that it's going to look stupid. But at the end of the day, it's WrestleMania. None of these wrestlers are going to say no, at least if they're willing to keep their job. They're not going to say no. So,
and we'll watch.
With it.
And we're going to watch. So we'll get into more of a Wrestlepalooza on Friday as we will have Dionysus joining us at 8:30 to wrap up the week. And we have one more text that we can take after the break. We're going to take our final break and tune in tomorrow. Burdick will be back from Las Vegas We'll
Yes,
be
I will.
live in our AGM studios here in ESPN Bakersfield. But tomorrow we'll have our boys from BC talking about the close loss in Ventura last Saturday. Plus, we'll preview the home game coming up this Saturday night right here on the Early Bird Special.
Welcome back. Final segment of the day here on the Early Bird Special, 101.1 FM, 1230 AM, ESPN Bakersfield. I am live from Las Vegas here at the Strat. We are just about to get out of here as well. We're going to take off right after the show. Hopefully be back in live in studio for the JR show and the Ralph Bailey show on our sister station of Kern Radio. So we'll be back here in Bakersfield within hours. Thank you guys for joining us. Hopefully the stream held up pretty well. As far as I could tell, it did. But then again, I can't watch it 24/7. Like hopefully all of you can. So feel free to chime in. Let us know how it went. Like, share, with your friends, all that type of good stuff. But we got plenty to talk about. One thing I got to highlight before we get out of here, and it's a talking point that was brought up in the post-game press conference yesterday and was swiftly snuffed out by Pete Carroll. But there's this story that has been going around that was talked about last night when it comes to the Raiders, and that's that minority owner Tom Brady supposedly sits down with offensive coordinator Chip Kelly and watches film with Chip Kelly multiple times a week and talks about plays that are or should be played during the game, et cetera, et cetera. Pete Carroll swiftly snuffed that out and said, that's not true. That does not happen. That's not a thing that's actually happening. Every reporter in there, though, was pretty skeptical. I'm not going to say myself, but we heard it on the elevator ride back up. Not a lot of them were believing it. They were all saying Orlovsky was talking about it on the show the other day, that this happens all the time. What are your thoughts on this entire story? Do you think there's some validity to this? Do you think Pete Carroll's trying to just push people away just so there's no questions about not only his coaching ability, but Chip Kelly's coaching ability? I don't think there's a lot of validity to this. I think that people are just trying to say if Tom Brady is part of the organization, he's probably going to have more say in what the play calling is.
I know Unsportsmanlike led with that story and most of the show. That's what their argument was. I know the television side of Monday Night Football last night, they made a big deal of this was the first time that they've shown Brady in the coaching area. Mm-hmm. Personally, I mean, does it really matter? But I don't think he's as hands-on as people really think or expect him to be. I think it's more of putting the team together. Maybe I think he was most of it was the brain behind bringing in Chip Kelly and Pete Carroll and these guys. I don't think as Brady is as more of hands-on with, he's a busy guy. He's not only just, partial owner of the Raiders or a part of their management, but he's also, doing play-by-play games. He's doing a lot of other things, which he was obviously allowed to. We talked about a couple of weeks ago, which is the Brady rule, where he can actually do the interviews and the insight, the prep. And I just don't think. I mean, he might. I know Pete Carroll's longer discussion or answer to that question was that he personally talks to Brady weekly, and he had mentioned it's personal. He'll talk personal life. He'll talk about football, but he doesn't really sound like he's one of the assistant coaches or he's thrown in his 2 cents every week.
I don't think Tom really is that controlling. You know what I mean? I think it's kind of like the Aaron Rodgers thing, right? I think the media likes to create this entire thing about Tom Brady that everybody just kind of runs with. And because it could be true. We don't know, so it could be a possibility, but that's not necessarily fair. I don't think that I don't think that story is really legit, because to me, like you just said, Spark, as a minority owner, I would assume that he probably had some stake in the coaching staff choices, bringing them in, getting all of those picked. And if Tom Brady makes those decisions, then why would he have to second guess them? Why would he need to be over the shoulder of someone like Chip Kelly, who he now is paying? Well, he and the rest of these owners are paying to be the highest paid offensive coordinator in football. And you trust Chip Kelly to be that guy. So I don't think that there's any validity to the story at all. I trust that Pete Carroll is being honest with this. And those weekly meetings probably between him and Tom Brady are a thing. Probably more just like you do with your boss, though, every single day. just pass by. Hey, Tom, how are you? Oh, Pete, good to see you. Hope everything's going well. Hope that you guys can scheme something to win this weekend. You know what I mean? Just leave it at that.
Right.
But I don't know. Just when I hear these stories pop up, especially about guys like Tom Brady, and you hear, oh, yeah, Tom's got way more control than we realize. I don't think it's legit.
I think if it was anybody else, it wouldn't even, it'd have been a non-story.
Exactly. And of course, the fact that he was sitting right over the top of Chip Kelly last night didn't help. And like you said, they went to it multiple times, that camera shot of him right on top of him, looking over like, Palpatine over Vader. And it's like, I don't know if this is legit. I just think that everybody's blowing this out of proportion, especially since the Raiders did not look good yesterday. And I mean, you got
Tom Brady to rescue.
Exactly. But you also have to think, to a point, just because they were a star player at the sport doesn't necessarily mean that they know what to do at the coaching position. And when it comes to scheming plays and doing those kind of things, that's why I feel like, we've seen it in basketball a couple times. Not everybody can be a Jason Kidd or a Doc Rivers. You know what I mean? Like there are some guys who have tried that just miraculously fail because they just don't have the mind for it. Not saying Tom Brady couldn't have the mind for it, but I think at this point, Tom's probably just trusting his coaches to do what they need to do while he goes and does his obscene amount of jobs that he has.
Well, we got two things. We got one listener text in with a waiver question, said, should I keep the Cardinals defense or should I go after Seattle or Buffalo or even the Niners?
God, see, I'm sticking with the Niners. I would not sit here and say that the Cardinals defense impressed me enough to say that they're legit. It was a great game for them, but they also almost threw that game away. So I'm going to go with the Niners on that one. If I had
and then the last one I wanted to wrap up with, I know it's not a big deal, but if we're going to talk about Tom Brady, they made a big deal out of Saudi Arabia is going to start a flag football tournament in March. And the list of players that are going to be involved with Saquon Barkley, CeeDee Lamb, Christian McCaffrey, Sauce Gardner, Myles Garrett, Brock Bowers, Max Crosby, Tyreek Hill, Odell Beckham, Tom Brady, and coming out of retirement, Mr. Rob Gronkowski. And they also announced the teams will be coached by Pete Carroll, Sean Payton, and Kyle Shanahan.
Well, dang, you might as well have gotten the best of the best to come and be a part of this. That doesn't surprise me that a lot of these guys want to come back and be a part of it, though. Football is obviously, like we've said many times, the greatest television show on TV. Plus, the flag football movement is legit. It is something that a lot of these players are hoping kind of gets going. It's not just Justin Jefferson being an advocate for it, as you can hear from this long list of athletes that'll be joining. And to be honest with you, who's going to complain about seeing all these guys play football again? I don't know a lot of people that are. So
it'll be a round-robin flag football tournament in March, but we're going to wrap up the show so you guys can hit the road, and we'll be back live tomorrow from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on ESPN Bakersfield, 12:30 a.m.
101.1 FM.